Alright, guys, we have another Sinner versus Alcaraz final tomorrow at Wimbledon. The final that most people wanted, which is pretty fair because they're the two best players in the world, the two best players of their generation so far, and both multi Grand Slam champions. So, of course, we just got this final at Rome and at the French Open, where we had a 5.5 hour match, and now we are getting it once again at Wimbledon. So most people are happy about this. I'm decently happy about it. Of course, I wanted Djokovic to win the tournament, but that was a pretty long shot. So I'm not really too upset about this final. I am a tennis fan. Of course, I'm a Djokovic fan, but I'm still a tennis fan, so I can't be too upset when we have the two best players in the world in a major final, the two best players of their generation, and two multi Grand Slam champions as well, as I just said. Can't really be upset when we have a final like that. So, and also I can watch this final not stress free, but less stressed than if Djokovic were in the final, where I would really want him to win. Now, I still want Sinner to lose, but it's not as it's not really as much as if Djokovic were in the final that I would want him to win. I would want Djokovic to win more than I want Sinner to lose right now. So, this, as I've said, if Sinner wins this final tomorrow, I will stop watching tennis. Not forever, but until the US Open, where I will, as usual, go to the qualifying matches in person, and then I will go to a main draw, probably quarterfinal or semifinal match, also in person. If Sinner wins the final tomorrow, I will not watch tennis again until then. So, unless someone just happens to show me something or turn it on, but I won't seek it out myself. Um, so, right, I'm supposed to preview the final. Of course, this was the final that most people were expecting. They're the two best players in the world and are just ahead of basically everyone else in the world at the moment. Like, way ahead. Obviously, they'll be ahead because they're the two best players, but they're like a lot ahead, pretty much. Although, as we all know, Sinner is lucky to be in this position because he was 2 sets to love down against Dimitrov before Dimitrov had to retire. Sinner did not win a single set in that match, so Sinner is lucky to even be here. And of course, that is the reason why I am quitting tennis in the first place if Sinner wins this match. If that match did not happen like that, where Dimitrov was not 2 sets to love up, then I don't think I wouldn't have this situation where I would quit watching tennis or take a break from watching tennis, I should say, if Sinner wins the title tomorrow. If Dimitrov had never gone 2 sets to love up and Sinner had just destroyed Dimitrov like I was expecting, I wouldn't really care as much if Sinner were to win the Wimbledon title as a whole. But now that, because of how that situation pans out, if Sinner wins this Wimbledon, that will just be that will be one of the worst things I've ever seen. Where a guy has won a Grand Slam title by being 2 sets to love down in a match and not even winning a single set in that match, and he has still just gotten lucky and gone to the next round. That would be one of the worst things I've ever seen happen in tennis. So I will stop watching tennis if that does happen, which is why I hope that Alcaraz defeats him. But there is also, even if Sinner wins, I will stop watching tennis, but I will not be super disappointed because it is not like I want Sinner to lose. I can't have Sinner losing every single Grand Slam final because then we also get the other problem where too many Grand Slams go to Alcaraz, and then he becomes more of a threat to break Djokovic's slam record. which I don't want him to break, obviously, because I'm a Djokovic fan. So thinking about the long term here, theoretically, it would be better for Alcaraz and Sinner to split the slams and not have one of them win too many of them, so that one of them doesn't take the record. So that's also another thing to worry about. So even if Sinner wins, I will not actually be super upset because of that, but I will still want Alcaraz to win this final. He will have 6 Grand Slams then. That is a lot at a young age. So yeah. Let's talk about the semifinal matches a little bit. The Fritz match went exactly like I predicted. Alcaraz won in 4 sets. Fritz actually could have easily taken this to a 5th set, but apparently Alcaraz was just clutched in that 4-set tiebreak and won 4 points in a row from 6-4 down to win that tiebreak 8-6 and finish the match in 4 sets. And the Sinner match, Sinner basically destroyed Djokovic in straight sets. I thought that this would go to 5 sets, but that was not the case. People were saying that Djokovic's movement was compromised, not nearly at the level that it needed to be. Look, we can use that as an excuse or a reason rather, but the fact of the matter is, since he is so old, he is just going to keep getting into situations where his body is going to have problems. So it is not like it's just a random unlucky thing in a sense. It's more like he's old, so every time he goes deep in these tournaments, in these 5-set matches, his body is going to have problems just because he's so old. So that's kind of just like the natural consequence of it. So, yeah. Djokovic, he may never defeat Sinner again. He may never even take a set from Sinner again in his career. He can't do anything against him. He can barely break his serve. He can break his serve like once in an entire best-of-5 match. That is all he can do. He has lost 9 sets in a row against Sinner now. So I just don't see how we will defeat him when Sinner does basically everything Djokovic does better than he does. He is like a harder hitting version of Djokovic who is in his physical prime when Djokovic is 38 years old. So I don't see how Djokovic will defeat him. And basically, no one is defeating Sinner these days except for Alcaraz. Although, to be fair, Bublik defeated him, and Dimitrov should have defeated him. But in general, he is mostly only losing to Alcaraz. So I don't see how Djokovic will defeat him again, and I don't see how Djokovic will win another slam again. I have not really believed that he would win another slam for a while. I have wanted him to, but I have not had him as my favorite to do so. I haven't had much actual faith that he will do so. And I just don't see how he will do that because he cannot get past Sinner. Alcaraz is sometimes manageable. He has a better matchup against Alcaraz. Leads the head-to-head 5-3. He defeated him in the Australian Open this year. So Alcaraz is maybe manageable sometimes, probably not on grass. But Sinner, he cannot do anything against him. He just cannot. And we have seen that, and Sinner has now won 5 meetings in a row against Djokovic. So Djokovic stands no chance against Sinner, basically anywhere. He has now defeated him in Grand Slams on all 3 surfaces. And if he defeats him in the US Open, he will become the second player after Roger Federer to defeat Djokovic at all 4 Grand Slams, remarkably. But he has already shown that he can defeat him very convincingly on all 3 surfaces. So Djokovic stands really no chance against Sinner anywhere, and especially not in Grand Slams. He has defeated him in clay and on grass, both in straight sets this year. And those are not even Sinner's best surface. Sinner's best surface is hard courts. So Djokovic will surely not defeat Sinner on hard courts if he cannot defeat him on Sinner's worst surfaces. Of course, it's not like Sinner's bad on those surfaces, but the point still stands. Sinner's even better on hard courts. So Djokovic stands no chance against Sinner, and people may think, okay, well then maybe if he avoids Sinner, he has a chance to win a slam. Maybe, but the problem is he can't avoid Sinner because this guy is not losing before the semifinals of Grand Slams. He has now made 4 Grand Slam finals in a row. So the guy is not losing early in Grand Slams. We know that. The last time he lost before the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam was the 2023 US Open, when he lost in the 4th round to Zverev. Since then, he has made the quarterfinals or better at all of the Grand Slams he has played in. And of course, like I just said, he has now made 4 Grand Slam finals in a row. So, it's not very easy for Djokovic to avoid Sinner. And even if he did somehow avoid Sinner, he would still have to beat Alcaraz and some other top guy, which is more doable for him than beating Sinner, but that is still not easy. It's still not easy to beat Alcaraz. It's not like it is guaranteed that he will defeat Alcaraz every time he meets him. Far from it. He will still be the underdog in a match with Alcaraz. It's just that Alcaraz, he actually has a chance against Alcaraz. With Sinner, he doesn't have a chance. So I just don't see how he will be able to defeat both Sinner and Alcaraz in a Grand Slam. The only way that he can win a Grand Slam is if Sinner gets knocked out. But that is just not happening. And so it looks like to be the case that to win a Grand Slam, you're going to have to go through Sinner and Alcaraz. The only way to avoid that is if they both get knocked out by a different player. But that is not happening. That has never happened in a single Grand Slam, I don't believe. I don't think any player has defeated Sinner and Alcaraz, the same player in the same Grand Slam. So what is more realistic is that they both got knocked out by somebody, by a different person, but that has not happened for the last 7 Grand Slams. They will now win their 7th combined Grand Slam together. The last 7 Grand Slams, including this Wimbledon, have been won by Alcaraz or Sinner. So they're obviously dominating these Grand Slams right now. But this is not the most we have seen. We have seen Djokovic and Nadal win 9 in a row, I think. Federer and Nadal win 11 in a row. So we have still seen more than this. Eventually, somebody else will win. Eventually, that will happen. They will not win every Grand Slam for the rest of their careers. Maybe most of them, but not all of them. So eventually, at some point, somebody else will win a Grand Slam. But it will be interesting to see when that is and who that is. And right now, we can't see anybody who can do that, because we don't see anybody who is capable of beating Alcaraz and Sinner in the same Grand Slam. We barely see anyone who is capable of beating one of them. In fact, let's just look at the past Grand Slams. Obviously, in this Grand Slam, nobody could beat them. They can only beat each other. Exact same in Roland Garros. Nobody could stand a chance against them. They can only defeat each other. Then in the Australian Open, Djokovic defeated Alcaraz, and Sinner won the tournament. So Djokovic, he has a chance against Alcaraz, but we know he doesn't have a chance against Sinner. In the US Open last year, that was the real shock, where Alcaraz lost in the second round. That is like Alcaraz's only bad loss in Grand Slams for a very long time. That was a real shock. And Sinner, of course, won the tournament. Who defeated Alcaraz in that tournament? It was Van de Zandschulp. Will Van de Zandschulp win a Grand Slam? Of course not. I don't know if he even has won a title on the tour. Maybe one, but I'm not sure that he has. Obviously, that dude will never win a Grand Slam. You cannot count on him to do anything. Then in Wimbledon, last year, Sinner lost to Medvedev, but Medvedev, as we all know, is completely finished now. He has not won a title in over 2 years. So Medvedev will obviously never win another Grand Slam. And Alcaraz won that Wimbledon 2024. French Open 2024, Sinner lost against Alcaraz, and Alcaraz won the tournament. And then in Australian Open 2024, Alcaraz lost against Zverev. Zverev, as we all know, will never win a Grand Slam. So maybe on another good day, Zverev can maybe defeat Alcaraz on only the Australian Open, probably. I don't see him being able to do that on another surface. Only maybe the Australian Open, if he has a very good serving day, can he defeat Alcaraz. But he stands no chance against Sinner, and he will never win a Grand Slam. So we don't really see any guys who are able to defeat both Alcaraz and Sinner. And we don't see any of them who we can really count on to even defeat one of them with any sort of, consistency. You wouldn't expect consistency, but we don't see someone who can even defeat one of them. It was seen as like a threat multiple times. Not really. Not like a big threat. So, yeah, that will be interesting to see who wins that next Grand Slam, who is not Alcaraz or Sinner. But that will not happen this Grand Slam. The earliest it can happen is the next one, but I don't know if it will. Sinner's the heavy favorite to win this US Open this year. So, and I have to go back just real quickly to what I said at the beginning, before the tournament even started. I said that I would be shocked if someone other than Sinner, Alcaraz, or Djokovic won the tournament. And now that is looking to be a very reasonable statement, because Sinner or Alcaraz will win the tournament. And I think I said something like, I will give 90% chance to Sinner or Alcaraz will win the tournament, 5% chance to Djokovic, 5% to the rest of the field, or something like that. And that was looking to be very reasonable as well, because these two are so far ahead. Djokovic was in the semifinals, and nobody else really stood a chance. Djokovic didn't even stand a chance, in fact, because he stood no chance against Sinner. But he still got farther than almost everybody else in the draw. Maybe Fritz arguably had a slightly more chance to win the tournament than Djokovic looking at the semifinals. But it looks like no one really had a chance other than Alcaraz and Sinner, if you're looking at it one way. And of course, this was not any bold statement or prediction. This was a sentiment shared by many people. So, let's looking a little bit at the stats for the semifinals. Sinner, he defeated Djokovic in straight sets. It's 74% first serves in. That is a very high percentage, especially for Sinner. He usually serves around 50-60%. So, this could be a problem if Sinner, who is already defeating everybody with 50-60% first serves in, serves even more. How will you defeat the dude? That's going to be very difficult, even more so than it already is. And he did 36 winners and 17 unforced errors, so he did 19 more winners and unforced errors. Alcaraz in his match against Fritz serves 65% first serves in, hits 38 winners and 25 unforced errors, so 13 more winners and unforced errors. So, I think that both of these players are playing at their peak, so I think that this will be a close final. Maybe not as close as the French Open one, because you can't get much closer than that, but I still think this will be a close match, because both of these players are playing so well. The head-to-head, of course, is 8-4 to Carlos Alcaraz, of course with their most recent meeting being at the French Open, which Alcaraz won in 5 sets. He leads 3-1 at Grand Slams, but Sinner leads 1-love on grass. So that one win on grass is actually Sinner's only win against Alcaraz in Grand Slams, which was at Wimbledon in 2022, where Sinner won in 4 sets in the 4th round against Alcaraz. So the one thing that Sinner can take away as a positive is that he has won the only meeting that he and Alcaraz have had on grass. Of course, that was a long time ago, before either of them had won a single Grand Slam or been world number 1, and now they have both done both of those things. So these are very different circumstances, but that's still something that Sinner can look at as a positive. Who do I believe will win this match? I said that I would believe that it will be a close match because both of these players are playing so well. So I do think that this will go to 5 sets, like most people probably believe, although some people are saying that, I'll just leave it at that. I do think this will be 5 sets. Who do I believe will win? Now, Alcaraz is the favorite, as most people are saying. And this is basically the same situation we had at French Open, where Alcaraz was the favorite, but not by that much, because you can't be like... Sinner is still the world number 1. He was the world number 1 for this entire year. and for most of last year. So it's not like Alcaraz was a massive favorite, but he was the favorite on clay and on grass. On hard courts, maybe Sinner would be a bit of a favorite over Alcaraz. But Alcaraz has been the favorite in this final and in the previous final at Roland Garros. So most people were picking Alcaraz to win at the French Open, and they will do the same again. As you know, I picked Sinner to win at the French Open because I just thought he was playing so supremely well. He didn't lose a single set until the final. And I didn't think that his head-to-head was so lopsided as people made it out to be. So I picked Sinner to win that French Open final in 5 sets, which he could have easily done in 4 sets, as that was when he had those 3 championship points, and he could have easily done in 5 sets as well when he was still 2 points away in that 12th game from winning that match in 5 sets. So that was definitely not a bad prediction from me. It was a super close match, obviously. Will I now make another bold but not super bold prediction? Because, let's face it, this is like a decently even match. Will I now make another bold prediction and say that Sinner will win this Wimbledon again in 5 sets, even though most people might pick Alcaraz? No, I will not. I will go with the popular pick, which is Alcaraz in 5 sets. And now watch Sinner win. But anyway, my official prediction will be Alcaraz in 5 sets. And this is the reason why. It is hard to choose between these. I mean, there is all this stuff about Alcaraz having the edge on grass, having an unbelievable record on grass, and being the 2-time defending champion at Wimbledon, and being on the biggest win streak of his career in general. He has won 24 matches in a row or something. He has not lost since Barcelona when he lost against Holger Rune. That was a long time ago now. So there is that. Well, that was really long ago. But, so there are those things that give Alcaraz a slight edge. But I think a major reason why I'm picking Alcaraz this time over Sinner, it is the head-to-head. And I know this may sound a bit silly, but in the French Open, I said that I was picking Sinner because I just saw that he was playing better tennis. He was playing so solid in the tournament. He was looking invincible, not losing a single set. And Alcaraz, if he could lose 1, almost 2 sets against, Musetti, lose almost 2 sets against Musetti, I thought, why can he not lose 3 against Sinner? And he almost did that. Very nearly did that. Was 1 point away from doing so. So the circumstances are a bit different here because Sinner he has not lost a set in any of his matches except for that Dimitrov match, of course, where he was 1 set away from losing the match. So in a sense, he has looked more vulnerable going into this final than he did going into the French Open final. So there is that to take away, which is another reason to favor Alcaraz in this match. But I was also saying when I was picking Sinner to win the French Open that I don't view the head-to-head as lopsided enough for me to favor Alcaraz because of the head-to-head, or favor Alcaraz that much more. But I said that if Alcaraz then won that match and went ahead 4 matches in that head-to-head to make it 8-4, at that point for me, I will view the head-to-head as lopsided enough. When you have a head-to-head as 8-4, I know it is only 1 match different from 7-4, but there's something at 8-4 just seems so much more lopsided than 7-4 to me. And of course, this is all arbitrary, but these are just my feelings, and this is what our predictions are. They come down to people's feelings. So now I see this head-to-head 8-4, and I just can't go. It's like my rule. I can't pick the player who has only won 4 matches out of 12 meetings to win the match. I just can't do it. 4 out of 11 I can, but 4 out of 12 I can't. That's just too much. So that's why I'm picking Alcaraz to win this in 5 sets. But I mean, also this head-to-head is still a bit misleading because of how close these matches have been. Most of them have been close. Obviously, the last one was close, and also at the U.S. Open 2022, Sinner had a match point against Alcaraz in the quarterfinals when they met. So those two matches could have gone differently by 2 points, going differently, and then the head-to-head would be 6-all instead of 8-4. So this head-to-head is a bit misleading. It looks like Alcaraz is owning Sinner when he is just winning by the smallest of margins in reality. But just looking at that number, 8-4, it's just not letting me pick Sinner to win. It just looks too lopsided when you look at it. So I will be picking Alcaraz to win this in 5 sets. And to win his 3rd Wimbledon title in a row, to win the French Open and Wimbledon in the same year for the 2nd year in a row, and to win his 6th Grand Slam at age 22, and to win his 6th Grand Slam out of 6 finals. And he has the opportunity to break Federer's streak of 7 Grand Slam, winning his first 7 Grand Slam finals. If Alcaraz wins 2 more, he can break that record and win his first 8 Grand Slams. That is not inconceivable at all. So will he do that remains to be seen. But I believe that he will lift the trophy tomorrow over Jannik Sinner in 5 sets. And I hope he does, because, I mean, honestly, I don't really care that much. But I would slightly prefer Alcaraz to win. I'm not that opposed to taking a break from tennis, because I basically watch tennis 24/7. So I think it would be a nice change up to have these breaks from tennis in my life. I watch more tennis than anybody I know. I haven't met anyone who watches more tennis than I do. So if I take a break, I will not be too upset about that. And I'll not be too upset about Sinner winning either, because he has lost 5 in a row against Alcaraz. So it's like, okay, I do feel a little bit happy for this guy when you're losing 5 in a row against the same player, and then to finally beat them, I do feel a bit happy for that guy for when that happens to someone. And also, there's also what I said about the slam record. It's better if they split the slams. So I will not really be too disappointed if Sinner wins this match. The Dimitrov thing is the main thing that upsets me about it. But honestly, now it was so long ago. Even though that was still really stupid, and that is one of the worst things I've ever seen happen. But whoever wins, I won't really be that upset. I slightly hope Alcaraz wins, and he'll then have 6 Grand Slams, but I really don't care that much, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to watching it, whatever happens. But my prediction will be that Alcaraz wins this Wimbledon over Jannik Sinner in 5 sets.